Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Oh my god, what's this? No filters. Oh my god, I'm so used to Instagram filters. But anyways, welcome to my first YouTube video. What do you even say? My god, wait and I show you. So basically I drove, I think, about 10 minutes up from Porto, which is like at the beach. So this is like right up the hills. Yeah, about 5-10 minutes from the main port, but it's just so secluded. You're up in the hills, you can just see the whole view of Marbella, and it's absolutely like beautiful. But this is like my dream, like dream. You can't even describe the size of these houses. Like, it's not even normal. Like, it's so quiet here. I don't even know if I'm meant to be here because there's security guards like all the time. I'm just going to turn the camera around, show you my dream house. I'd say they are about 10 to 20 million. I'm not saying I'll have one day, but it's what keeps me going, what keeps me working so hard, and literally it's what drives me. So yeah, I'll just show you now. It probably doesn't look like anything in the camera, but I'll just show you anyways. So this is the first one, like the size of that. This is one of the billboards. And then like it's so quiet, I don't even think anyone lives here. These are like all for sale. This is the living room area. Our small kitchen, it's actually very small. This area is our balcony, and it's more of a terrace actually. It's quite big. We have our swing chair, which I was obsessed with. That's what made me want it. And this is so good for Biggie because obviously this apartment said not pet friendly, but then we sent him a picture of Biggie and he said yeah. So it's good that Biggie has this area. This is our bedroom, which, as I said, so we have our double bed, we have loads of wardrobe space. Our second bathroom, which is an ensuite to our bedroom. So I put up a poll on my Instagram, and these are the questions that I got. Some of them are like similar and some of them aren't, but I'll just kind of answer the ones that I think like go together, and then like I'd say I answer about 4 or 5. The first question I'm going to answer is moving process to Marbella. So basically we actually didn't move from Ireland to Marbella, we came straight to Marbella from Dubai, and the reason was because we actually went to Dubai for a month and then end up making the decision to just change our flights and come directly to Marbella. The process wasn't that difficult. Basically all we had to do was find an apartment, which was quite simple. We looked on Idealista and we looked on Airbnb, but we ended up finding a long-term apartment on Idealista. We contacted the landlord. We were kind of WhatsApping back and forward until we got like a set price and a set deposit sorted. And I was looking for a few days when we were in Dubai, and I kind of was looking at the area of Porto, and there is kind of a difference with Marbella town and then Porto. So basically we live like 10 minutes away from Porto down at the port, which is at the beach. Marbella is like a 12 to 15 minute drive away from where we live. So we're kind of centered between both Marbella and Porto, but we live 10 minutes up the hills, which is what I would prefer. So then we actually just got a flight directly from Dubai into Marbella. Literally took our suitcases with us, got a car. We actually flew into Madrid and drove to Marbella, which was an absolute, well, it wasn't that bad, it just took hours and hours and hours. Got here, we met with our landlords, sorted our lease, everything was grand, got our deposit, and that was basically it. Now there's obviously a bigger process if you want to become like a resident here or set up your company here, which is like a whole lot of YouTube. But yeah, for now that was literally it. It's a simple enough process, especially because we're still in the EU, and where England of course is, with Brexit, they're not part of the EU anymore, so they find it a little bit more difficult to actually live and stay here. How easy is it to get accommodation sorted from abroad? So we were actually in Dubai, so it was really, well, I found it simple enough. I literally just had to find the apartment that I kind of wanted. You kind of need to know where you're looking at, like whether you want to be in Marbella Old Town, or Portsmouth, or up in the hills. So kind of get a sense for that by just like looking at maps. I literally just looked at Google Maps. One tip that I do suggest when you're looking for an apartment or a long-term lease, on ID Lease it shows that if it's an agent basically leasing the property, or if it's an actual private landlord. So I found a private landlord, which you're getting to speak directly to the landlord, which means you have a better chance at getting that apartment, and also there's just a better communication with them. So I got their number through WhatsApp, and then we just spoke back and forward through that. It was a lot quicker, the process, and then obviously there's no hidden agency fees or anything like that, so you're literally meeting with the landlord, you know the fees, you know the rent, you know the deposit. So that's definitely a major thing to look out for if you can. Like obviously there's not a lot of them, like most of them will be agents, but if you do find a private landlord, get onto them. Okay, the third question is, are you happy you moved to Marbella during lockdown? Do you think it was easier or harder? I never moved to a country or anywhere else when we weren't in lockdown, so I actually don't know how much more easier it would have been. The only thing that I can kind of relate to with that question is there's a lot more stress and just kind of anxiety with moving, just whether you get into the airports, whether you be able to board the flight. And when we were obviously going to Dubai, we actually weren't allowed on our first flight because of our COVID tests basically being wrong. Small things like that. I wouldn't say it was easier or harder. Obviously there's stresses that come with moving and moving your whole life to a different country anyways, but definitely just an extra little bit of stress or worry, the fact that you don't know when a country can just go into lockdown straight away. So the next question is, how much would you spend on essentials weekly in Marbella? Rent, bills, food. Okay, so our rent a month is 1,000, and then you obviously add your bills onto that, which you just kind of add like electricity mainly here. You don't get charged for water. Not that, I don't think so. Well, all we get charged for is our rent and our electricity, which comes to around 1,100, like if you're like using loads. Food. So me and Noah, as you know, I so different to Noah. So we used to obviously do like a full week shop, and it would come to like 150 to like 160, 70 a week. But then we just started to notice that we were just thrown out, like just everything literally. We started to kind of just buy as we go, and it's working out a lot better. So I would go into the shop and I would probably spend like 50 or about 50 euro, 40 to 50 euro once or twice a week. Rent is like 1,000, then your bills would be like, just say 150, and then your food. So it's not that bad. Like people say you can't live here without it being mad expensive, but the rent is so much cheaper. Now one thing is that we obviously got the rent in February, I think it was, and we signed our lease, and he asked us could we sign a 1-year lease because it was obviously €1,000, and in Portsmouth basically the rent goes up the closer it gets to the busier months. So now it could be 1,000, but then say in like May, June or July, it could be like 3 or 4 grand. So the fact that we signed that lease means our rent will stay literally like the same for the whole year. Where if we didn't sign a lease and we just went month for month or like 3 months, in 3 months time our rent could be literally like 4 grand. So just make sure you know that when you're coming. Okay, so the final question is where to live and where not to live. Me and Noah personally wanted to live somewhere that was more residential. So we didn't want to feel like tourists. We wanted to live somewhere long term. We wanted to feel like we were even a part of the community, like just normal living people. So yeah, we decided to look for somewhere that was like a bit away from where the touristy places were, or where tourists would stay, around hotel areas and stuff like that, which is more or less the port, which is right on the beach. So we decided to move 10 minutes drive, I think it is, yeah, around 10 minutes up the hills into the mountains. We decided to go up rather than out. So when you go outwards, it means you're going to kind of like the Marbella Old Town. So it's kind of on the M50. I call it an M50. It's not an M50, but it feels like an M50. Yeah, so we're still so close to everything, like 2 minutes in the car and literally we're at the port. Like it's up rather than out, which means it's so much more easier to jump in the car and you're still involved in everything that goes on here. But then again, if you wanted to go home or not be a part of all the touristy things, you can do that also. I would say not in the port. If it depends what you're moving here for. Like it depends if you're coming on a holiday 1 month or if you're coming for a year. Like we're here for more or less a year, 6 months to a year. I would say if you want to feel like you're actually living here, resident, then move out of the port. So 10 minutes will be pretty good enough. Okay, so that is the end of this YouTube video. I hope I done well. It was my first time ever doing something like this, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe, give a like, comment, whatever it is, and yeah, I hope my next video is as interesting as this. And if you have any ideas at all for me, leave it in comments below, and I will talk to you soon.